Once upon a time, deep within the lush green valley, there lived an extraordinarily clever monkey. This monkey wasn't your average simian. He had a knack for getting into all sorts of mischief, always finding new ways to turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. No, this monkey had a very special someone in his life. His beloved grandmother. She was the wisest and kindest monkey in the entire valley, and her love for her grandson knew no bounds. Despite his often troublesome antics, she never lost patience with him. In fact, she cherished every moment spent with him, finding joy in his infectious laughter and boundless energy. One sunny afternoon, as the gentle breeze rustled through the leaves of the ancient banyan tree where they lived, the mischievous monkey approached his grandmother with an outlandish idea. "Oh, Grandma!" he exclaimed, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "I want to build an airplane." Now, you might think this wasn't such a crazy idea, but considering the materials he had in mind, it was absolutely bonkers. The monkey wanted to build an airplane out of jellies. If you're not familiar with Jalebis, let me introduce you to these delectable fried dough sweets. Imagine golden-hued spirals of crispy heaven, glistening with sugar syrup and adorned with a generous helping of chopped nuts. They are not only a visual delight, but also a culinary masterpiece that can make your taste buds dance with joy. The monkey had a particular fondness for these treats. In fact, if there was one thing he loved more than playing pranks, it was devouring Jalebi. So naturally, when he set his mind on building a Jalebi airplane, he went about it with the utmost determination. He gathered all the ingredients needed to make the perfect Jalebi batter and got to work. Flour, water, turmeric, a pinch of salt, and a generous amount of ghee, which is a type of clarified butter. After kneading the dough until it was smooth and elastic, he rolled it out, cut it into thin strips, and then twisted those strips into beautiful spirals. Now, making Jalebis was one thing, but constructing an airplane from them was quite another. Nevertheless, the mischievous monkey was up for the challenge. With nimble fingers, he carefully lowered the spiral-shaped pieces of fried dough into the hot ghee, ensuring they cooked evenly and turned a glorious golden brown. Once they were perfectly crisp, it was time to add the finishing touch: the sweet and sticky sugar syrup. The aroma of frying jalebis filled the air, making the whole valley smell like heaven. As the jalebis turned a beautiful golden brown, the monkey couldn't resist sneaking a bite or two, but he quickly shook off the craving and continued his work. He dipped the warm jalebis into the fragrant sugar syrup, letting them soak up all that sweet goodness. Then he sprinkled chopped nuts on top, adding a delightful crunch to the already decadent treat. But while the Jalebis were still fresh and hot, the monkey began to assemble his airplane. With the greatest of care, he used toothpicks to attach the Jalebis together, creating a strong and sturdy frame for his aircraft. He arranged the pieces in a way that they formed the shape of wings, a tail, and even a cockpit for the pilot. The entire valley seemed to hold its breath in anticipation as the monkey worked tirelessly on his unique creation. Now, you might be wondering what happened to the cockpit and the poor monkey. Well, let me tell you, as soon as the last Jalebi was in place, the mischievous monkey climbed into the cockpit of his Jalebi airplane and pushed off from the banyan tree. He soared through the air, leaving behind a trail of swirling sugar and spice. The wind ruffled through his fur, carrying with it the scent of adventure and the taste of sweet victory. Below him, the green valley stretched out like a patchwork quilt, a mesmerizing blend of greens and browns dotted with the vibrant hues of flowers and the shimmering waters of the river. As he flew higher, the monkey could see the entire valley in a way he had never seen it before. The tall trees that had always blocked his view now appeared as miniature green shrubs. The river, once a wide and roaring torrent, looked like a silver thread winding its way through the landscape. For a moment, the monkey was filled with a sense of freedom and exhilaration that he had never experienced before. But alas, this euphoric feeling was short-lived. As the monkey maneuvered his Jalebi airplane through the sky, he realized that flying wasn't as easy as it looked. The wind, which had been his ally up until this point, suddenly turned against him, making the airplane wobble and shake like a leaf in a storm. The mischievous monkey, despite his earlier confidence, found himself struggling to keep control of his sweet ride. He tried his best to stay calm and steady, but the harder he tried, the more the Jalebi airplane seemed to fight back. Just when the monkey thought things couldn't get any worse, the wind picked up, causing his plane to nosedive straight towards the ground. He braced himself for impact, squeezing his eyes shut and covering his head with his arms. But instead of the expected crash, he felt a sudden jolt followed by an unexpected twist. When he opened his eyes, he found himself hanging upside down from the tail of his Jalebi airplane. The wind had somehow managed to turn his plane into a makeshift swing, and there he was, dangling in the air like a delicious dessert on a string. As the wind continued to push and pull him back and forth, the monkey realized he was in a precarious position. If he didn't do something quickly, he would end up stuck in this upside-down Jalebi roller coaster for who knows how long. But the resourceful monkey was not one to panic. Taking a deep breath, he tried to calm himself down and figure out a way to escape his sticky situation. First, he tried to free his arms from between the Jalebi wings, but it was no use. Those sticky, syrupy Jalebis were stuck fast, holding them tight like a determined honeybee to its honeycomb. Next, he tried to kick off his legs, hoping to swing himself enough momentum to flip over and land safely on his feet. But much to his dismay, his legs were tangled in the tail of the airplane, making any sort of movement nearly impossible. As the monkey struggled to free himself, he couldn't help but feel a sense of shame. Earlier, he had boasted to his grandmother about his flying skills, claiming he could soar through the air like a bird. But so far, his flight hadn't exactly been a display of aerial acrobatics. It was more like a comedy show with a special guest star, Mr. Monkey in Distress. Just when the monkey was about to give up hope, he remembered his grandmother's wise words. She had often told him that the key to solving any problem lay in staying calm and thinking things through. Taking another deep breath, he closed his eyes, trying to come up with a plan. Suddenly, he remembered something. He had seen birds use their wings to steer themselves in the air. Maybe he could do something similar with his Jalebi wing. With renewed determination, the monkey flapped the Jalebi wings, hoping to gain some control over his upside-down predicament. To his surprise, it worked. The wings, though not as effective as real wings, provided enough lift to help him slowly turn his plane around. As he continued flapping, he felt a sense of accomplishment mixed with relief wash over him. After what seemed like an eternity, but was probably just a few minutes, the monkey managed to turn his Jalebi airplane right side up. He let out a sigh of relief as he landed gently on the soft grass, much to the amusement of a group of squirrels who had witnessed his daring adventure. As the monkey dusted himself off and checked for any damage to his Jalebi plane, he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Despite the bumpy ride, he had successfully flown and landed his first ever Jalebi airplane. It was a moment that would forever be etched in his memory. Making his way back to the banyan tree, the monkey was greeted by his grandmother's warm hug. She had been waiting anxiously for his return, and her relief at seeing him safe was evident in her tight embrace. The mischievous monkey, feeling a wave of affection for his grandmother, promised to never scare her like that again. Together, they sat under the shade of a banyan tree, munching on the remaining Jalebis, sharing stories and laughter. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, the monkey realized that sometimes the greatest adventures are the ones that bring you closer to the ones you love.